Hey everyone, just thought I would show you guys an in-depth video on my Panda Loach Aquarium. As you guys can see, I have a Cobalt brand aquarium. This is the Cobalt MicroView 8-gallon size. This kit comes in 3 sizes. I believe it's like a 3, 5, and an 8-gallon or something along those lines. But essentially what this tank is, it's pretty much set up for, could either be a freshwater or saltwater tank. It comes with a small internal filter that has a sponge inside of it. And then it comes with a light, and then you have your glass top and your aquarium along with a foam pad. The tank is rimless, so it doesn't have the black border. So essentially what you need to do is use that memory foam or that really foam mat and use that so that your tank doesn't experience anything that causes it to not be level. At that point you can cause cracks in the tank because of a tank not sitting flush, or put stress in certain areas, and it can cause a leak in your silicone seams. So it's definitely really important to keep that in mind when purchasing this tank. You want to use that memory foam mat just to kind of keep the tank stable and to avoid any cracks or possible leaks in the future. So this tank did come with an internal filter. It came with a pretty much like a block sponge, and I pretty much removed that, took that out, and replaced it with activated carbon. Because of the substrate that I'm using, causes kind of the water to become discolored. The carbon definitely really helps with the clarity of the water. I'm actually using Fluval's Shrimp Stratum as my substrate for this tank, and essentially what that does is it lowers your pH. It's a pH buffering substrate that keeps your pH, like mine runs anywhere from 6.5 to 7 pH, which is awesome for these guys. I also use these pieces of driftwood that naturally will help reduce the pH in an aquarium, so it kind of keeps it stable, and it keeps everything in check inside of the aquarium. So inside of here I have some dragon lace rock, some, I believe, red Wenti crypt, and then I have a couple of swords in the back left corner. I also have some moss that's kind of scattered between the rocks and the driftwood in hopes to growing kind of like a thick moss bed. So in this tank I have a group of 12 panda loaches. These guys are actually pretty expensive. I think they're about $16 a piece. I get a fairly decent discount at the store that I work at, so I ended up paying about $200 for a group of 12. So essentially these guys are imported from China. Not too many people breed these, so the reason for me getting a group as large as I did is in hopes of breeding these guys. Their appearance is really awesome. They are a striking black and white color as juveniles, and as adults they lose the boldness, but they're still equally as nice. In my opinion, they're definitely a really cool fish to keep. I think they max out at about 2 to 2.5 inches full grown, which is awesome for a little nano-sized aquarium. So you can see a couple of these guys. I have 3 in this back corner. One that's kind of, you can see him swimming across the glass there. Another one in the back left corner. And so these guys are constantly on the move. They don't really stay stationary for a long period of time. Essentially, once they've been in a tank and they've settled themselves in, they start to kind of dart around the tank and, you know, foraging on biofilm, algae, whatever it is that they can find inside of the tank. I even had a couple of these guys that came in really thin, and just in the course of 2 or 3 days their stomachs has actually fattened up because of how much that they've been foraging inside of the tank. Not the easiest fish to keep, but not as finicky as some of your other freshwater fish. I've actually had worse luck keeping live bearing fish than I have had keeping these panda loaches. So far these guys have been doing awesome in here. Like I said, they are imported from China, so they're a bit of a seasonal animal that you can get. It took the store that I was ordering from about 4.5 months to get these guys in, because as soon as they come in, they get sold, and then it's pretty much essentially until the wholesaler is able to get another batch in. It just depends on season, so they're not the easiest fish to find. Definitely an A+ in my book. I'm more into keeping some of the oddball fish, so anything that's a little uncommon or rare, I definitely like to see in my collection and try my hand at reproducing these so that they become more available to pretty much the fish industry. Like I said, it's one of my favorite fish. It's a fish that can be housed with some of your bee shrimp, like Taiwan bees, crystal reds, crystal blacks, blue bolts, pretty much anything of that nature they do awesome with, because they don't really go after the baby shrimp. They look awesome. I've seen them eat alongside shrimp, and you know, they've never messed with them. So definitely one of the few fish that you can keep in an ornamental freshwater shrimp aquarium. Let me see if I can show you guys a couple of these. There's one right over there on the Amazon sword plant. So those guys, pretty much all they do is kind of scatter around in the tank. What I am planning on doing in this tank is probably a killifish, maybe like the Ruber pinus. There's just like a really striking purple color, and it's kind of got like some bluish white mixed into it. Unfortunately, killifish are a yearly animal, so they only have a lifespan of about 1.5 years before they pass away. So I'm gonna look for maybe a display fish. You know, this tank is all for panda loaches, but it's good to have something that is actively swimming in the water column rather than sitting on the glass and on the wood. So I'm gonna look into something like that. Inside of the tank, I also have a nerite snail that you guys can see right at the front of the tank there. And essentially what this does, it helps keep the algae off of the wood, and it also contributes to producing waste in the tank. Because of how small these fish are and their bile load is pretty much next to nothing, it can be a little difficult to sustain a cycle inside of a tank like this. So adding in some snails, pretty much shrimp or anything that can contribute to the waste that's being produced in the tank actually helps maintain the tank cycle long term, rather than having bacteria build up to a certain amount of waste and then the bacteria dying out because they don't have any food to eat. So that would definitely be a recommendation for these guys if they're the only fish that you're housing. So once again, these guys are definitely awesome. If you guys want an in-depth care video, feel free to comment below, subscribe to my channel, and check out some of my future videos. I'm going to be posting a video on my Neocaridina shrimp tank, some of my discus and arowana, my pleco tank, and some other odds and ends. I also am into breeding crested geckos, so that's definitely another hobby of mine. So once again, feel free to like and subscribe to my channel, and I look forward to my new video, guys.